So one of the questions I get asked consistently is where would you invest $10,000? So I'm pretty excited about what I've done and what I'm going to show you today and tomorrow. I opened up a new account at E-Trade. I deposited $10,000 and I'm going to place some trades in the morning to show you where I'd put the money and what I'd be doing with it. So stick around through this video. I'll go into that and a little bit more and talk you through it. Good morning. My name is Adam Kahn, and I'm the Rational Investor. Today is Sunday, November 19th. I hope you've enjoyed your weekend. A little bit windy here in Las Vegas. I hope it's not screwing up the sound. Before I get into where I'd put the $10,000, do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I'm so excited to see how it's been growing. Like, really, it's super cool, and I love seeing that. So I want to thank you guys. I'm also going to put a couple links in the description on open an account at SoFi. If you click on the link and you deposit $10 or more, they're going to give you free money. They're going to give you an extra $25. I think there's also ways to get more than that if you want it as well. So you can follow those links and see what you want to do. If you use those, it actually gives me a little bit of an account of a gift and an account that I open with my son. He's 13 years old and I try to teach him about this stuff too. So he gets kind of excited about it, helps me teach them, and I really appreciate that kindness as well. So stick around. We're going to go into a $10,000 portfolio for you. So there are lots of ways of trying to invest, and you guys really need to do the research for you and what your goals are and everything else. Depending on what I was trying to do with the $10,000, like I really might do different types of investments. What I did for this one was just a standard how I would invest if I was starting out and I had $10,000 to put in. So I picked 20 different stocks that I'd probably spread out evenly. If I was really going through it, there might be some I'd wait a little bit more if I like them better. But for this instance, we're going to put in the pretty close to the same amount in each stock, depending on where the price of the stock is and how many shares you can buy to get about a $500 investment. So that being said, my real thought is you can really expand on this anywhere. I'd feel comfortable even if I had up to $1 million or so investing in this type of portfolio. If I started to get $2, $3, $4, $5 million, I'd probably spread it out a little bit differently and have different sets of accounts where I'm focused on dividends, I'm focused on growth, and I'm focused on some little bit that I'd put to higher risk. But in this video, I really think anything up to $1 million could kind of fit it. Again, you guys need to do your own research and decide for yourselves how to invest. I wouldn't follow me just because I'm sharing it. Like, I think I'm pretty good at this, but that doesn't mean you should assume I am and just follow. You need to do your own research and make your own decisions in your finances. I don't have the stocks in any particular order, so I'll try to ramble through quickly and tell you the ticker, the name of the company, and the amount of shares. Maybe I ramble a little bit and go into why I picked it, but I'll try not to do that too much so that the video doesn't end up being an hour long or so, because if I talked about 20 stocks and went into every reason why I picked them all, really it would take a long time to go through it. The first stock on my list is Amazon. I'm buying 4 shares of it. It closed around 145, if I remember correctly, on Friday. I set up the account where I literally have already put the orders in, and I just put market orders to buy it on the open tomorrow. I'm going to do a spreadsheet that shows the cost basis, and then I'll check in once a week, once every 2 weeks, maybe once a month, just depending on what makes sense. The second stock on my list, which is probably my favorite stock of all, and to be straightforward, it's what I actually have the largest position on in my own account, but is Meta, or formerly known as Facebook, and I'm buying 2 shares because I think it closed around 335 on Friday. Number 3 on my list is Sbux, which I think closed around 105. I'm buying 4 shares instead of 5, but mainly to try to make sure I stay below 10,000. I know when I was running the numbers originally, I was pushing to like 10,100 or 10,200. And I really want to stick to the amount I'm putting in the portfolio. So Sbux is the next one on the list. Again, they're not really in any order, especially since I'm buying the same amount of all of them. Number 4 is Qcom, which closed around 130. I'm buying 4 shares of it as well. I really like Qcom, and one of the things I love about it is If it makes it another 4 years of raising its dividend, it'll push into the Dividend Aristocrats program. And my guess is once you get 21 years into raising dividends, you're probably going to push those extra 4 years to get into that category and get into that fund. Number 5 on the list is Bristol Myers. I've set it up to buy 10 shares tomorrow on the open. It closed just above $50, so it fits right in line of a $500 investment. Next one on my list is Best Buy, which closed around 67 or 68. I really wanted to buy Target, but since they already posted their earnings and the stock took off a good 10 or 20%, I figured I'll switch to Best Buy. Close around 67 or 68. I'm buying 8 shares of Best Buy tomorrow. Seventh company on my list is also one of my favorites, which is Google. I'm buying the one with the L at the end, Googl. It closed around 135, so I'm buying 4 shares to try to get around that $500 investment point. Pfizer is next, which I know I've talked about in the video before. It closed around $30, so I'm buying 15 shares. I think Pfizer is super undervalued. It's not that it's one of my favorite stocks. It's the same as I felt about Bristol Myers that I mentioned earlier. I just think the healthcare industry is a little out of favor right now. They're getting great dividends, and I think they're super inexpensive now. Just my opinion. Again, you guys need to do your own research. Next one on my list is NextEra Energy Partners. I've talked about them a zillion times. Closed about $23 a share. I'm buying 20 shares tomorrow. I just think they've fallen so far. If they're able to pay that 15% dividend, and God forbid they're actually able to increase it the way that they've said, I think it's a super good deal in these 20s. And I have a pretty decent sized position in my own account because I think the dividend is really good. Now, it's a bit of a riskier stock because anything that's fallen from 80 to 20 makes me a little bit nervous that they might have some underlying issues. But if it's what the company just said and they've had to lower how quickly they think they're going to raise the dividend, and that made people more nervous than it should have, it's a great opportunity. Next one I have on my list is QSR. It's a conglomerate of a bunch of different fast food chains, including um, Burger King. Closed around $70 a share. I'm buying 7 shares. That comes out to $490 range, right around the $500. So it'll fit right in. It pays a decent dividend as well, and I think it's a good space to be in. The next one on my list is the first one and one of only a few that's one of the dividend paying type of companies. It's JP Morgan's NASDAQ Income Fund. Ticker symbol's JEPQ. Pays a little over 10% return. I don't expect the stock to really go up in value a whole lot. I just hope to get the 10% return, be able to use that to reinvest and continue along with it. Next one I picked is similar to the JEPQ. Ticker symbol is PFFA. If I remember correctly, it's like Veritas something, preferred option, like it's preferred stock basically. But they buy a bunch of different preferred stock in a bunch of different companies. They pay a monthly dividend like JEPQ. So around 10% of the return. So again, I don't expect a huge increase in the stock price. I hope it stays where it is and it's able to pay that dividend. Oh, and PFFA closed at like 18 or 19, I think $19.20. So we're buying 20 shares of it. Whoops, never mind, 25. Foot Locker is the next one on my list, which, it's a bit of a shot. I like the CEO that they've hired. It closed around $22. I'm buying 20 shares tomorrow on the open. I think there's opportunity that it could really grow, but it's a little bit riskier of a company. It could go down as well. Zillow is next, which I've talked about in some of my other videos. I think they have a good long-term possibility of growth. I think they might take over some of the real estate market share. They closed around $38 or $39 a share, so we're buying 10 shares of it tomorrow on the open. Enphase is next on my list, which is one of my favorite stocks right now. ENPH is the ticker symbol. They deal in solar. I recently had solar put in my house, and everybody went on that Enphase is the best system. Now, I ended up not getting it because one of the things they talked about is how long it lasts, and they discussed how long I'll be in the home. But pretty much every salesperson who came in said how great their product is. The stock's fallen from $340 that fell to about 80. I think at 93, 94, where it closed on Friday, is still relatively inexpensive, but I don't know a ton about it. I just think it has potential based on where it fell from, and I'm guessing that solar is just out of favor right now. So I also have Altria on my list, which closed around $40 a share. pays a really nice dividend. I don't know that I see a lot of growth potential for the stock price, but it pays about 9.5, 10% for the dividend payment. Closed around $40 a share, so we're going to buy 11 shares on the open tomorrow. Exxon Mobil is next. Well, Exxon is a great company. I had a tough time deciding between it and Chevron. I think they're great, both great companies in the gasoline and space. Exxon's actually expanded into some other stuff as well. I think they're good energy companies. It's trading around 105, so we're buying 4 shares on the open tomorrow. Archer Daniel Midland is next, or ADM for the stock symbol. I think they're really they have a big market share in the space that they're in. I don't see a ton of competition. I think they have a lot of room to grow. They're trading, if I remember right, around $77, $78 a share on Friday. We're buying 6 shares to get around that $500 price point. Caterpillar is next. Same type of thing. I just think they're in a space that it's hard to compete. Deers are completely separate. They're more to the individual person, where Caterpillar's selling to the corporations that are building and growing. I think that space might be slowing down, but I also think that they kind of own that space. Like, who's going to come in and start building those types of machinery for the outlay it would cost to compete with them? It would be really hard for a new company to come around and start getting into the space. Yeah, I don't know if they close like 230, 240-ish, but we're buying 2 shares. They also pay an okay dividend, and I see good potential with Caterpillar. And last on the list is 3M. 3M is a little bit risky because they have a big lawsuit going on, but they also pay a hefty dividend, and I see some room for growth basically because of how far the stock has fallen. I don't know that I really see the company growing the whole ton because they're really well established and they're a nice big company, but I think the stock has fallen so far and gotten so far out of favor because of the lawsuit, which is working its way through, that I think there's real room for the stock to go up, and they're paying a 6% dividend on top of it. So anyway, those are the 20 stocks I picked. We'll see how it does. I'll keep an eye on the portfolio. I share it with you. Um, Here, let's see if you can see this. This is the list if you want to be able to look at it yourself. I took a picture or a screenshot on the computer as well. I'll probably put that up so you guys can see. And again, do me a favor if you haven't already, and if you made it this far, that's friggin' awesome. Thank you again. But if you haven't already, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. Give a thumbs up and like, and make a comment. Tell me the stocks that you guys like. I'd be happy to consider others. Maybe I put them in my own personal accounts or things like that. Have a great day and hope your weekend was awesome.